Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be a book review on Plyo-Flex by Mark Dibbermacher. Now this book by Mr. Dibbermacher is actually the fourth volume in his kicking series. We may have talked about it briefly, but this guy had written so many books. You can see an example right here. He kind of started out with the essential book of martial arts kicks, Krav Maga kicks, joint kicks, low kicks, stop kicks, ground kicks, stealth kicks, sacrifice kicks. I already bought that book. So this is the fourth volume in a kicking series that he kind of started, and this one is actually the third edition. It was published in 2018, so 1 year after Isoplex. Now with this book, we're looking at a much stronger focus on martial arts particularly. So when I mentioned with Isoplex, that book was more of like general health, and it was good for like an intermediate to advanced athlete to kind of, change things up in their exercise routine. This one has the same idea, but of course without the ISO, so we just got the plyometric and the flexiometric, and they are geared towards martial arts performance in particular. Now to start off with, with this book in Plyo-Flex, you get kind of the author's experience in martial arts, what kind of got him started. I think he said he started judo at 6 years old, and then, he kind of went from there, just continued his martial arts journey ever since. So I like kind of those experiences. It kind of makes it more relatable for people, depending on what got them started and whatever. Big Brother Natty, for example, he watched Fast and Furious 1 and 2, so naturally he's been working on cars, and he has been for like over 10 years. But yes, Mr. Dibbermacher, judo at 6 years old, which is pretty new, 50 years ago, so 50 years from 2018. Then of course Bruce Lee came onto the scene, and things like that, where he just kind of inspired him to keep training his martial arts. For me personally, it's just Jean-Claude Van Damme. Watching a lot of his movies, Kickboxer, and then Kickboxer and Bloodsport are the most famous, of course, but then I watched his other ones too. So I like that. I like kind of having that kind of personalized account. You don't see that in Isoplex. I think he kind of just went into the, the intention of general health. Oh yeah, he went right away into it, kind of explained it. So it's nice to have a little bit of personal account, we'll say, Now there's a section in here where Mr. Dibbermacher talks about kicks and his opinion on it in relation to punches, that he felt that the kicks were a little bit more effective than punching, and by effective, we're talking about a longer range, which is true. We're talking about leg muscles bigger and powerful than the arms, that is true. And then targeting can go from the head to the toes, that's also true, although I think you could target pretty high and low in the fists too. And then kicks are less expected at short range, which is also true, certainly. People don't expect you to kick them, they expect punches. And you'll see more about that in Stealth Kicks book, which I am looking to get. And then I already have Sacrifice Kicks, so that would probably be the next book that I would look at. And of course, people can get agitated about, kicks being better than punches and things like that. And certainly I think most martial arts will agree that you don't start with kicks, that you certainly start with punches, joint locks, control the enemy, things like that. But certainly I think that the leg muscle is big. If you've seen your leg muscle, it's pretty dang big. You can put out a lot of force for sure, for certain. And again, people don't expect kicks as well. They expect to be punched. So I think that most people will agree, most masters, I think that, training the kicks just puts you that much more above the enemy, because they're expecting punches only. So if you can do more than that, you just have more tools at your arsenal. But at the same time, it requires a high learning curve. Most people can learn to punch pretty quickly, but it takes a long time to learn how to kick. So it's really just that student's dedication if they're going to put in the work or not, So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with the author. I think he's right. But again, and he says that too, you have to actually put in the work to make sure that the kicks are good to a level that could rival your punches, at least in the bigger picture of assisting your punches. Let's see. So the quotes also return in this book, the quotes that you see in like in Isoplex from various cultures. I think there's one repeat though. It repeated page 43 and 181. It's the same quote. It's perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did, by Newt Gingrich. So that's a repeat, but again, maybe, that's just such a good quote, you gotta hear it twice. But I like that, I like that the quotes come from people you wouldn't expect, authors, Mark Twain, baseball players, different cultures as well, unspecified, like, Latin proverbs or Roman proverbs, things like that. So that's kind of neat. Good for your philosophy training if you guys still do that in the dojo. Now the book is divided into two sections. Of course, we have plyometrics and then we have flexiometrics. And the flexiometrics has around 2.5 times more chapters than, flexiometrics has 2.5 times more chapters than plyometric, but that's because flexiometrics is covering kind of like the entire body and all the stretching involved with that. Again, the author explains the meanings and the terms of the general philosophy. So just like Isoplex, he told you what Isoplex was. He explained everything about it, isometric, plyometric, flexiometrics. That's nice. I think that's good so that people don't come in here going like, what the heck am I doing, It's very similar to Isoplex, except it doesn't have the isometrics. But the exercises really do focus on martial arts itself. For example, there's a lot of like, there are kicks that are done after an eccentric contraction. So there's kind of like the squat, you squat and then you kick. So I've done that in dojo for sure. He also has the rebounding kicks. So you'll kind of kick, touch the ground, kick again. I think for me, what we did was that we kicked high, kicked low, kick high, low, again. That was something that I think that, I don't know if that was in here, but that's what we did, in the dojo. So things like that, which are clearly geared towards martial arts only and has very little crossover assistance, benefit, or effect for any other athletic discipline. The plyometric methods without props, so like the ground drills, jumping drills, using boxes, hurdles, stairs, elastic bands, medicine balls, weight plates. So kind of a lot of the stuff, the props you'll see in Isoplex already, you'll do here. But again, more focused for martial arts execution instead. And then besides pure plyometric work, he also has working on angling and trajectory by using boxes and chairs as a barrier to kind of force your leg into the correct position. So again, you wouldn't see that in Isoplex. And then elastic bands, they require 3 people. So someone's pulling on you enough to force you to use more hip power when you kick, when you punch. And the other person serves as a target, or you can have an actual, dummy hand, something to hit with that. I like the weight plate sweeps. Those are pretty neat. So you have like a weight plate on the ground and you'll sweep it with the leg, right? That's something that, again, you would not see in Isoplex, and it is geared clearly towards, like a front sweep technique in martial arts. So that's pretty neat. I never thought of that. Obviously a good idea. I mean, probably should practice with a real person, but still, something that kind of helps strengthen that movement. Since that's not something that you would do in normal life, There's also no upper body plyometrics whatsoever, which, as I mentioned, it's kind of hard. I think it's hard already in martial arts to find upper body plyometrics. I think the most you'll see is like in judo. I think it's judo, right? They do the break fall. Ninjutsu has some falls as well, front, back, and side falls. That'd be the only upper body like plyometric that you have besides fall and catch yourself, which I've done before. So there's none in here for that. Whereas in Isoplex, there was like a lot more relatively, maybe like 5 or 7, but more than I certainly came up with, in my entire lifetime. Now, the next section we're gonna talk about is the flexiometrics. So first my assumption was like, okay, well, are these exercises just copied from Isoplex? And some are, but again, they do serve a particular purpose. So when I went through Isoplex, I think there's about 70 flexiometric stretches solo, and then there was a small section on partner stretches, right? And then in flexiometrics, or Plyo-Flex, sorry. This one has 50 stretches solo, and then there's like 2 partner stretches. But once again, they focus particularly on martial arts. So the 2 partner stretches was somebody holding you in like a full front splits position, which of course you wouldn't see in isoplex because that's, there's no point for that. And then yes, some of the flexiometrics do cross over, but some of them have kind of a clear martial arts focus, So for example, the flexiometric upper body is the same as isoplex, but it's missing the neck and the wrist stretches, which I think I'd like to see an update where that's included, because your neck is pretty important in martial arts, and then your wrist is too, because if you ever taught little kids, they always punch wrong. They punch with a crooked wrist. If they're asking for a broken wrist, you show them how to do it. They look at you, and then you tell them to do it again. They do the same thing. So I think it's kind of good to have. I think the wrist should have been included here in Plyo-Flex along with the neck, because it's not that much missing information. It's really little, so I feel like it could have been added anyways. So yes, some exercises cross over, but again, I think the author does a good job of picking the ones that focus particularly on martial arts, or would help you with martial arts in executing a kick, things like that. So I mean, don't be surprised when they cross over, but again, that's like general health, which worked for both martial arts and isoplex. But then there's still going to be stuff here for martial arts that wouldn't help anyone else that's general or focused on isoplex. Now, there's no training program by difficulty like there was in isoplex, but given that every martial artist is in a completely different stage in their life, some are just starting, some are really advanced, some are intermediate, I think it's more appropriate. So I went through the book, I picked out the ones that I couldn't do or I had trouble doing, and then the ones that I could do easily, I just skipped it. So I think it's kind of okay for intermediate advanced martial arts. The individual exercises can be easily located in the index, since the scope of the book is focused on 2 of the 3 tenets of isoplex. So basically how I talked about in isoplex, if you saw something and you were like, oh man, I'm gonna try it, but then you kind of forgot, you're like, oh, I gotta go back and find it again. You kind of had to look through the book, because there really wasn't a section to find those exercises. Unless it was already included in the training program, you could find it that way. But other than that, you weren't going to find it if it wasn't included in the training programs. So there really wasn't an index to find the exercises. Since we're looking at focus scoped here, you actually have every single exercise which can be located in the contents. So if you're looking for the flying twist 2.5, it tells you what page it is. If you're looking for lateral hopping, it tells you what page it is. So because it's a smaller focused book, you can find every single exercise you're looking for. So if you saw it and you have a general idea what it was called or what body part it was, you can find it pretty easily. So that's kind of a plus, because I mentioned before when I made the isoplex exercise program that I saw something, but I didn't remember what it was called, and I knew what body part it was, but it was just harder to find. But here, when I added some Plyo-Flex to my training, I could easily find whatever exercise I wanted based on the exact same page. So that's pretty good, I would say. What else? So in the afterwards, after he talks about plyometrics and flexiometrics, he's got sections that are talking about kind of general stuff. I think probably important stuff to keep in mind. So the first one he has is rope skipping, which is kind of like a jump rope, a classic multi-response with variations. Definitely we did a lot of jump rope in high school and also in the dojo. But it's a good point, you can always jump rope faster, jump rope slower, you can, jump certain ways. It's a multi-response drill, and that kind of is what you want in martial arts. Being flat-footed would be the absolute worst thing, and I'm sure you can see the little kid students do it all the time. You want to be on the balls of your feet, all the time, which is very hard to drill in for the kids. So I think that the jump rope is a really good idea. I think I can see why they always made us do it all of the time. And even though it may seem like a high school thing, it is pretty valuable, So that's a pretty good recommendation. And of course, I do recommend that jump rope is very good. You want to be far away from flat-footed about as much as possible. He talks about some kicking drills. So the squat kicks, I've talked about that before. Pivot kicks, we did that before too. So when you kick and you pivot, change directions, things like that. The squat kick, you squat, you kick, you know, things like that. And then he also has restrained kicks where your hands are tied, and or you pretend your hands are tied and then you kick from the front, kick from the back. Not a bad idea, honestly. And then rebound kicks, which he talks about as kicking, having the leg come down, kicking again, rebounding off of that. So in my dojo, it was kind of like high, low, high, low, high, low all over again. But so kicking drills like that, which again, only apply to martial arts and has little to no crossover benefit for any other athlete. He has a section on ankle weights, which is mentioned with caution. My dojo did do that for a little bit, but then like I think we stopped just because there were so many complaints, and we probably weren't advanced enough for it anyways. I think ankle weights, they can help, but you have to like start super low and then you stay there for like forever until it's easy. So we're really talking about a long investment time. But I did experience that, but we dropped it pretty quick. Isometrics, it's literally 2 pages. It's literally 2 pages, and he, you know, it's not the main focus of the book. He says that there's more data in Isoplex, which is correct. It's more complete, I would say, in Isoplex. But you know, the 2 pages is just telling you kind of what it is in general. So I think I would love to see him kind of actually have like a general start, like actually explain more in detail isometrics. That way like people are interested and they're excited and they're gonna go look out for more information. Like that's what I would do, you know what I mean? He also has a page on weight training, literally 1 page, not the main focus, but general suggestion. So again, I would like to see that fleshed out some more so that people are interested, excited, and they want to go, you know, research it some more. Then we have balance drills, pretty simple. I mean, we had that too, kind of standing on one leg, knee up, and then like looking around with the one knee up. So you kind of teaching yourself to track without falling, and then of course closing your eyes. But he has balance drills on that, so that's not a bad idea. Impact training, I think that's really, really good. So having a body shield on your enemy or focus pads, medicine ball is a striking target, right, for your sweeps or axe kick. Hanging tennis balls, we actually use a plastic bag. We use a plastic bag and we use that for a target while keeping the hands up, because a lot of students will just like kick but let their hands fall down, so you kick and keep your hands up the whole time. You know, so the plastic bag's really nice that it just kind of floats, and it teaches distance too, you know, because I think a lot of people, which is normal, a lot of the students want to be far away. They want to be far away, you know, and so then they never get within striking range of the enemy. So that's kind of nice that the plastic bag kind of forces you, like, you know, if you completely miss it, you're way too far. But it also teaches if you're too close to back up a little bit. So that's what we did. It's not in the book, but I'm just giving it to you for free. That's something that we did, was a plastic bag. But certainly I think his idea of impact training is very important, because punching and kicking air doesn't really teach you much, you know, but having something to hit and having somebody to practice with, of course, like 30% effort, is kind of a really good suggestion, I would say. Then there's the angle, trajectory, ground kicks, you know, I talked about before. Again, kind of teaching you the correct position of your legs, where you should be facing the target, things like that. Very good, very important. He talked a little bit about angling in trajectory in the plyometric section, but I think it's more thorough here in the kind of like near the end of the book in the forward afterwards. And then telegraphing, you know, not to have a pattern that tells your partner what you're going to do. Of course, you know, when you train with people, they'll tell you that you have a cadence when you do this or you're about to do this. So that's something that you would train out in the dojo, but still just a good idea to, you know, don't have some kind of mental start, something that you do, just do it, right? And then free fighting, of course, that's the best thing ever, sparring, you know, having real resistance when you fight somebody, you know, starting with 20 to 30% effort, and then if you guys are really trusting of each other, maybe you can go up to 40-45%, something like that. I'll never be at 100, but like, you know, 75% is pretty good. So in conclusion, I love this book. I think this is great. I think this is fantastic. I think it's as essential to martial arts as Isoplex is for like the general athlete, intermediate advanced athlete. It's just, it's great. He really focuses on the kind of muscles that you need to focus on for kicks. And then going through like the exercise as well. So when you kick, it's a complicated action, right? And so he's having you go through those actions and strengthening those positions. Because in bodybuilding, we learned that when people get injured, and the only reason that happens is because muscle grows really fast, but then like the joints, tendons, and ligaments take time to catch up. So then your muscle can get so big, everything else didn't catch up and you get injured. But in Isoplex, if you train bodybuilders in the place before they got injured and they just stay there, then they can actually like recover in a way, So I mean, I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, it's really good. I mean, the author's having me do the same thing for the kicks, that way every part of the kick is strengthened. And of course, you can find any exercise you're looking for without too much difficulty at all, right? I mean, this section is right there for you. You can find what you're looking for. You can pick and choose, customize your workout program. So, some final thoughts. As I mentioned, there's no upper body plyometrics whatsoever, and that might make sense as this is focused on kicking. But there were still some upper body plyometrics in Isoplex, and I thought that it would have been nice to give some upper body plyometrics to us, because I thought it was really hard to find upper body plyometrics until I read Mark Dubermacher's books. All I could think about is the judo and the ninjutsu falls, and that's pretty much it. Fall and catch if you wanted to be creative, and that's it. I never thought about the clapping depth push-ups. I never thought about clapping push-ups. We've done them, but it just doesn't cross my mind. Handstand push-ups, stuff like that. Like, I never thought of that stuff. And I just thought that, like, we still should get that information anyways, just to like have us get a start and have us kind of roll in our brains and have something functioning, you know what I mean? Just free. I mean, we're not really losing much. Well, I feel like we're losing a lot by not having it, and the section wasn't that big anyways in Isoplex, so I just thought it should have been added no matter what anyways. I'd also like to see kind of like a better general start for the isometric and the weight training section. I think I said it's literally 1 to 2 pages, and I think that Mr. Dubermacher could expand upon it a little bit, just to get people interested in it and want to research it and look into it, and probably end up buying the book like I did, you know what I mean? So I think that would be good if I saw another renewed edition, was to expand on that isometric and the is it weight training? Yeah, isometric and weight training section, so the student can kind of do their own research and be interested and look into stuff, And then I'd also choose some better isometric examples for students to go by. So, for example, just give them some isometrics, but pick like really good ones. I don't know what would apply to a martial artist, but something that's interesting, to kind of get the brain going. So like the bicep curl, right? So when you have the bicep curl and you like resist that, or he has this one, just some examples to get people excited and interested about it. Oh, and then for the weight training section, he already had one in Isoplex, and honestly, it was like, I don't know, I could have sworn it was like 2 pages. I mean, I think he could have had a super finely condensed version of that. Where is it? Bodybuilding 20. I feel like Mr. Dubermacher, I think it's just 2 pages. Yeah, this is it. It's just 2 pages. This is only section on bodybuilding. And as somebody who was in bodybuilding for a couple of years, like, this is good. This is perfect. Like you could have something either just exactly this, or just super condensed and finely condensed, and put it in Isoplex just so people have a general idea. Because most people, when we get fat, we can't just jump back into martial arts. We have to lose a lot of weight, and so having a really nice bodybuilding section to help us understand, get started, combine it with nutrition, that would kind of get people, I think, more going in their training. Because like if I was overweight back then and I read this, like, I'm not just gonna go into martial arts, I have to lose weight first. And so I think having a nice kind of weight training section can get people kind of started. And I also like to see, because with this book in the weight training section, he kind of has pictures of people using weights, but not the one that I prefer. So it's like, yeah, it's the Smith machine. you know the Smith machine? The ones where people like squat 300 pounds and they think they actually can squat 300 pounds? No, not that. I think the Smith machines are fine when you're like working out injuries or something, but like 300 pounds on the Smith machine is not the same as 300 pounds in real life, you know what I mean? And so I would just like to have pictures showing something more useful, like the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, right? Squat, bench press, deadlift. That'd be a great picture to have. Some good free weight exercises, things like that I think would be better choices than pictures of the Smith machine. And these aren't bad examples. I wouldn't go with a leg press machine, but like the adductors and abductors, that's pretty good because that's something that's very difficult to train. But I would certainly still have, you know, that free weight squat, the free weight bench press, and the free weight deadlift. I think that'd be pretty good too. So there you go. That's Plyo-Flex by Mark de Bremacher. I've already bought Sacrifice Kicks, so that'd probably be the next book I read. But I am very interested in the stealth kicks or the ghost kicks. That's something that may not apply to a lot of martial artists just because it's going to require some serious flexibility, it looks like. But yeah, I think stealth kicks is probably the next book I'd buy. After that, gosh, I don't know. I think I'd probably look at joint kicks and stop kicks. Look pretty interesting to me. I might just end up buying all of it, but for now, I think the next book we're going to talk about is Sacrifice Kicks when I get to that. I am going to take a little bit of a break, just because, you know, we've gone through 2 of Mr. Mark de Bremacher's books, so I'm probably going to read something else, just in the interim. But I hope that the information was helpful for you guys. Do I recommend? Yes, I do recommend. It's a good book. It's just, I'd like to see an updated one, you know, kind of more updated with more fleshed out sections for isometric and weight training sections in the afterwards. And maybe, you know, the author's thinking about it, who knows. But I do like the book, you know. If I had to give an arbitrary score, I mean, Isoplex is probably like 8.5 out of 10. Plyo-Flex, with the task of being focused on martial arts in this current form, I'd say is probably a good 7. It's a very solid 7, you know. But still a pretty good book. You know, as I said, I only looked at this stuff because I was kind of sick and tired of my martial arts, you know, wasn't really getting anywhere. I wanted something different, and these books certainly help with that. So if you guys have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye now.
You learned martial arts! Martial arts, go!